Welcome to The Explainer. So, today we're diving deep into a real roadmap for breaking free from that systemic, paycheck to paycheck cycle that so many of us find ourselves stuck in. If you've ever felt like you're working tirelessly but barely inching forward, well, this is absolutely for you. We're going to unpack a brilliant five-stage blueprint uncovered in our source material that takes you from total financial stagnation all the way to ultimate financial mastery. Okay, let's dive into this.
Do you ever feel ambitious, but kind of lazy? Our source starts by validating a deeply frustrating feeling. Your head is just racing with ideas. You've got these big dreams, and yet you find yourself taking very little action. Day by day, the life you actually envisioned seems to fade, replaced by a reality that just feels totally uninspiring. Now, society loves to label this as laziness, but our source makes a really profound counterargument. You are not lazy. You're just overwhelmed and frustrated by a path that was never actually designed to help you thrive in the first place. You see, the source argues that you're trapped in a system designed to keep you spinning your wheels on a flat line. Think about the standard trajectory for a second. You spend 5 years in a job, maybe you get a couple of tiny pay raises, but your financial line, it barely moves. Why? Because the more people earn, the more they tend to spend. It's not a personal failure at all. It's a systemic trap, literally designed to normalize incredibly slow progress and keep you utterly dependent on a single stream of income.
To break out of this, we need a plan. Today's agenda covers the 5 stages to escape this trap. First, the trap of stagnation. Second, escaping through ignition. Third, accelerating your momentum. Fourth, expanding your wealth. And finally, stage 5, achieving financial mastery. Stage 1 is the trap of stagnation. $36 trillion. Yeah, let that sink in. That is the sheer scale of the problem. It's the US national debt, and honestly, it's increasing by the second. The source uses this to prove that our entire society operates on systemic debt, which is exactly where most people begin their financial journey, and sadly, where a lot of people stay. You leave school, get your first job, and suddenly you're thrown into the deep end with zero financial guidance. So what do? You play it safe. You stick it out in the same job, taking zero chances. But the huge danger here is that if you stay in this stage too long, you risk becoming what the source calls a debt slave, where your income barely keeps its head above your monthly expenses. We're seeing a massive trend of people owning fewer houses, fewer cars, and fewer luxuries, with society shifting heavily toward renting instead of owning. The source material actually connects this trend to a theory known as the Great Reset. Just to be clear, we are neutrally mapping out the source's framing here. The argument presented is that there's an intentional shift by global elites to move power away from the public by stripping away property ownership and increasing state dependence. Now, whether you agree with that theory or not, the economic reality on the ground is just stark. 58% of Americans are currently living paycheck to paycheck. The system, as it stands right now, makes escaping really difficult. So, how do we actually break out of this first stage? The action plan here is straightforward but absolutely vital. You have to start by gaining total control of your finances. You need to track every single dollar you spend and be brutally honest with yourself about what's an essential need versus just a luxury. Once you have that awareness, automate your savings. Even if it's a tiny amount, set it aside consistently. The source gives a great analogy for this. I mean, even your gaming console is smart enough to save your progress, right? So you need to start saving your financial progress too. Let's move on to stage 2, escaping through ignition. Believe it or not, the source notes that over 50% of people never even make it to this ignition stage. This is where you actively try to break out of stagnation, but you immediately face 2 massive hurdles. The first hurdle? Well, it's your friends. They won't always love your new driven attitude because it forces them to either step up or be left behind, so they'll often try to drag you back down. The second, and probably more silent hurdle, is inflation. Let's really look at that active threat for a second. If you save your money by just leaving it in a regular bank account, it actually works against you. Imagine you have $5,000 sitting in a zero-interest account. With a very normal inflation rate of 2.5% a year, over 20 years, your bank balance still says $5,000, but its actual purchasing power, what it can literally buy you in the real world, shrinks to just $3,051. The numbers don't change, but the real value of your money just evaporates. Now, contrast that with the power of investing. If you were to take that exact same $5,000 and invest it into something like the S&P 500, averaging a 7% annual return adjusted for inflation, in 20 years, that $5,000 could grow to over $220,000. While the source rightly notes that all investments carry risk and past performance doesn't guarantee future results, this perfectly illustrates the absolute magic of compounding returns. It's all about letting your money work for you rather than letting inflation eat it alive. Stage 3, accelerating your momentum.
Once you've ignited that initial spark, what got you out of stagnation just won't be enough to carry you to ultimate wealth, unless you want to wait decades, that is. This is the phase where mere survival turns into active wealth generation. To accelerate, the source outlines the 3 C's: cash flow, connections, and confidence. First up, cash flow. This is the fuel for your financial engine. You need money coming in and fast. The recommended strategy here isn't about trying to invent some billion-dollar tech startup. It's about starting a simple, service-based B2B side hustle. Think video editing, social media management, or running ads for other businesses. These have super low startup costs, and businesses are literally always willing to pay for things that boost their profits.
The second C is connections. You know the old saying, surround yourself with 5 losers and you'll be the 6th. It's harsh, but the people around you severely impact your trajectory. If your current circle is entirely stagnant, it is time to network. The source heavily emphasizes using platforms like LinkedIn or Instagram to reach out to like-minded, ambitious people. Surrounding yourself with successful individuals opens your eyes to completely new opportunities. Pair this with the final C, confidence, which is really just the courage to step out of your comfort zone and take calculated risks, and you are fully accelerating. Stage 4, expanding your wealth. Realistically, you might be 8 to 10 years deep into your financial plan by the time you reach this stage, and this is where your focus shifts entirely toward exponential growth and generating passive income. To truly expand your wealth, you absolutely must master the difference between assets and liabilities. So many people, once they get just a little bit of money, immediately waste it on liabilities, expensive cars or luxury homes that look amazing but secretly drain your wealth over time. Assets, on the other hand, put money directly into your pocket. We're talking rental properties, dividend-paying stocks, or even high-income skills. Every single dollar you deploy at this stage should have one specific purpose: to grow your wealth. When you're acquiring these assets, the source outlines 2 main investment strategies. First is diversification, basically spreading your money across multiple asset classes to protect your wealth and lower your overall risk. For beginners, this is absolutely the smartest route. But then there's high conviction, concentrating your resources heavily into a few specific investments that you understand deeply. Yes, it carries way more risk, but it's exactly how billionaires like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos built their astronomical wealth. As your expertise grows over time, these high-conviction plays can massively expand your portfolio.
Finally, we reach the summit. Stage 5, achieving financial mastery.
This is the ultimate goal of the entire blueprint. At this level, money is no longer a day-to-day concern. Your assets are generating more than enough income to cover your expenses and completely fund your lifestyle. You've achieved true time freedom. But the source makes a really beautiful point here. Masteries isn't just about sitting on a beach somewhere sipping cocktails. The wealthiest, most fulfilled people in the world, leaders from Warren Buffett to Oprah Winfrey, understand that true mastery involves shifting your focus away from just accumulating wealth to preserving it, giving back, and leaving a lasting legacy. It's about reinvesting your profits, mentoring the next generation, and using your ultimate freedom to actually benefit others. So we end with a really critical question for you to consider. Are you ready to take control of your financial future? Look, the journey from stagnation to mastery isn't easy, and it certainly doesn't happen overnight. It requires tracking your dollars today, fighting off inflation tomorrow, and meticulously building a financial engine that will eventually run entirely on its own. The blueprint is right here. The only question is, will you take that very first step out of the trap? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I truly hope this sparks the momentum you've been looking for.